most of them, though, go back to the first comment about how powerful these tools are and how much information you could be ignoring. I'd like to pass this to Patty, though, now and see what her legal opinion here is.
Actually, before Patty, we had Mark who had a comment. And after Mark, we have Patty. Sorry, Mark. Right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chris. And just to do a quick audio check, can you hear me better now?
Yes. You
okay.
were coming in and out.
Okay, good. Completely agree with what Jim had to say. We do use social media. It's probably on a little bit more informal basis, so it's not as concise and consistent as our regular background checks. But we are, of course, very careful with any information we receive, and that is the filter that I'm referring to. We would consider this analogous to reference checking, where you really have to carefully consider the subject matter, the source it's coming from, the time frame, and then apply that much stronger filter to it, as you may with a reference that say came in one poor reference. And if we were going to deny someone employment based on information we obtained from social media, we would do our best to corroborate it before moving forward. So those are my comments, and now we can hear from our attorney in the group, Patty.
Okay, Patty, you're on.
Thanks. Yeah, I love the prospect of what we can do with social media and all of the new Web 2.0 facilities. Huge benefits to HR. It's effective. It's less costly than a lot of recruiting tools that we have. It's quick. I mean, we can. You have an opening that was unanticipated, or some new process that you have to get put in place, and it's so quick. You can announce those openings right away. You can find candidates with special expertise. In particular, I think that anybody looking for someone in IT for any kind of technological position, you're going to probably find your best people on the web. And so why not use those resources? And I say when you're looking for someone in those high-tech positions, the IT positions, I want to see all of what they have online. I want to see their LinkedIn profile. I want to see what they're saying on Twitter. And I think that's a place for great resource for those type of positions in particular. And a lot of the services are free. Sometimes even the enhanced services are free. You can use hashtags on Twitter. They have two in particular that I'm familiar with, TweetDeck or JobDeck, which are free, and those are enhanced services. Chris, if you go to the next slide, even more benefits that I see in using social media, and that is we can use what's out there, what someone puts on their profile, to evaluate applicants. And it's just another source of information, and the more information we can get in this area, the better. But we can get insight into their analytical skills, their communication skills. We might communicate a little differently on the web, but taking that into account, you can get a real feel for that. Technological expertise, tact, general maturity. I mean, you can really get a good feel for a candidate. Now, in terms of diversity, a couple things I want to add here. It can be particularly good. It seems that with the new web applications, minorities tend to be more broadly using these resources than before. While they might have lagged in their use of actual computers, laptops, and those kinds of things, the new social media applications appear to be tracking with a lot of usage in minority populations. So that can be helpful as well. One concern I would have is age. There probably is less usage for older applicants, so we might want to correct for that. And speaking of correcting, Chris, if you could go to the next slide, and just a few risks, but really pretty easy to control for. Any confidential or protected information, I've been talking about that throughout this session. We have to be so careful about the protected information, but here is a really simple solution. If you see someone's profile, you may well see their picture, you may know their gender, you may have a guess about their age, you may find things about sexual orientation, religious affiliation, all of those being protected activity that you can't take into account. But here's the thing. Have someone who is legally trained, who understands those protected categories, have them conduct the initial search and filter out the protected information, and then they can pass on the relevant information to others who are making the hiring decisions. So the protected information gets filtered out, and you still get a lot of great information from these sources. So I love this as a resource for employers. And just the last thing, if you're a federal contractor, you still will need to take into account who is an applicant, and we have guidelines from the law on Internet applicants and who is considered an applicant, so that will still apply.